Hello, everyone. Sorry. Yeah, I do apologize that I know I kind of look like I'm high on drugs, but I'm not. I just haven't slept really for many, many days because I have a new son. And anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so happy to be back, and I'm so happy to be reunited with my family after 3 months. And I always thought, how did Steven do it for like a year, over a year, man? It's like 3 months was hell for me. Yeah. So yeah, I'm so happy, and yeah, we welcomed Jeremiah into the world for 5 days ago, and it was a very new experience for me because I've always wanted a boy, but I'm always afraid to have a boy. You understand? Because I really had a very bad childhood when I was young. So initially I wasn't really close with I didn't really have much of a male figure in my life. So the reason why I didn't want a boy is because it is too um, what's that? It is too scary for me. It is too vulnerable. I think the word is vulnerable. It is like really afraid, but at the same time, I do want a boy because I really want to love him in the way that I never had that love when I was young. And the moment I held him in my arms, and I had the experience that I have never had with my previous two children. Not that I don't love them, I love them very much. But the moment when I carried Jeremiah and he gazed into my eyes, I felt like he knew me before birth. I really felt like he knew me before birth. And I joked with my wife, I said, probably Jesus or God would have put him in a meeting room and showed my picture and said, this is your guardian on earth. And every time he looks at me, I feel like he knows me. And it's just a very beautiful experience to have a son and have another baby. So yeah, and I'm happy. I'm happy to be back with my wife and my children, my girls, and so happy to see you guys. So a little bit of update about Bali. Everything is going well in Bali. Lately, I have started a couple of new outreaches, mainly focusing on kids. And so what we do now, what I do now is we have English lessons for children. So majority of them are like from the age of 8 to about 12, within this range. So every week I meet them and I just, teach them English for free. None of them know how to speak English. So that has created another opportunity for me because if you all don't know, I love football and I love soccer a lot. And these little boys who come to my class, they love to play football. So because of that, it allowed me to open up and start a new soccer outreach with all the boys. So every Sunday morning, I have soccer training with the boys, and that has caused me to, form such a bond with all of them. And I really love them. That's like my favorite group now. We go, we play football, and we laugh, and I think I have a gift in me since last time that makes me allows me to relate with boys between the age of 8 to about 15 easily. Like I can click with them easily, and especially if they like football and they like soccer, it's so easy for me to just relate and be friends with them. So I'm very happy, and because of that, because of that, um, I have gotten to know their parents. And every time we have class, every time we have training, the parents would come and the parents would start to talk to me, and we talk a little bit. So that is the newest thing that has been going on in Bali, I would say. Recently we did a Christmas outreach, and and Andrea was there. Andrea wanted to get presents. If you all don't know Andrea, they are the family who are living in Dubai. Andrea and Michele, they wanted to get presents for the kids over there and the families that we were reaching out to. And so the the final count that I actually got was about 30 people, I think 30 to 35 people. So we went, we bought presents for about 40 people just in case, like a little bit people must show up. So what happened was on the day, Harni and Quinton were there. If you all don't know, they are the other missionaries who are living in Indonesia, in Banyuwangi. So they came and all of us were very excited. Stephen was there, Stephen's friend Dave was there, and it was so fun. So we were very excited. And on that day, I think in total about 70 over people came to the outreach, and all of them got to hear about Jesus. And Harni, she preached. Harni is Indonesian, if you don't know, so she was like the perfect candidate to deliver the message to them. So she preached to them, and it was a beautiful outreach. But the sad thing is we didn't have presents for everybody, because we only bought like 40 presents, so we had to do some other arrangement. I'm going to meet them soon again once I go back, for the people who didn't get the presents. And yeah, I really hope that it would form new relationships with them. I'd say I hope that it would open up their hearts to allow me into their life, and possibly make a way for Jesus to be in their life, or the gospel to be preached. Another thing is, I don't know if you all remember the last time when I was here, I used to talk about this Sunday meeting that I have regularly in my home. So lately what has happened is, people were receptive to the idea of Jesus. And, Stephen would always say, like, salvation is the gospel, right? The death, burial, and resurrection, right? So what happened a couple of weeks ago, I think about 2 months or 1 month ago, I started a series about Jesus. And it was a little bit scary for me, because Jesus is a very sensitive topic to the people there. So I don't know why I felt the urge to do it at that point. So what I did was every week, based on what the new believers section of the core, based on that, and I try to give like very small size information to them. So I really concise it to a very small message, and I share with them every week one point. So it led to a lot of beautiful things. And so one day we were I don't know what to say, because it was about the crucifixion and the death. And I just played Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ, the whole crucifixion scene. I know and I don't know if you have watched the movie. I think that's one of the best movies I've watched, and I would never watch it again. That's how bad it is. So the moment when they watched the movie, and I shared with them a little bit about what he went through, and I thought that was the best way to show them what he actually went through, because I don't think my words could do justice to what the film actually portrays. So we watched the film, and that day was so powerful. Everybody started crying, and at that day, all of them believed in the gospel, and all of them accepted Jesus into their life on that day. So I'm very happy, and I'm very, very happy. And so that thing has become a weekly meeting now. So every week we meet, and it is a lot more deeper in terms of spirituality in biblically, I would say. So this has been, this is what that has been happening for the past few months, or 6 months, I would say, from the last time I was here. So I'm very happy. Thank you so much for all of you guys who have prayed for me. Thank you so much for all of you guys who have supported me. Thank you so much for contributing into my life. Thank you so much for for believing in my purpose that God has for me. I'm truly, truly grateful, and I really appreciate everything you guys have done for me. This church, Antioch, this ministry, Stephen, it means a lot to me, because I came here and I was so lost. I didn't know what I was going to do, and to see where I am after so many years, it really humbles my heart, and I'm so grateful to every one of you. So today I'm going to share a very simple message. I want to talk about faith is. Faith is. So I'm going to start off by reading this in James chapter 2, verse 14 to 17. It reads, "What good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith, but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? Suppose you see a brother or sister who has no food or clothing, and you say goodbye and have a good day, stay warm and eat well. but then you don't give that person any food or clothing, what good does that do? So you see, faith itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. It's very interesting that Paul establishes that faith is useless if there are no actions and deeds. The thing about this is, many times, and me personally, I always believe that faith is a choice leaning more towards the ideology of belief, which means if I have faith, I simply just believe. And the thing is, Paul even ridicules that if we claim to have faith and yet we do nothing, no actions, right? If we do nothing, if there is no actions that are backing our claim to have faith, you understand? It is dead and useless. Therefore, right now we know that we know right now that faith is not just believing, it is actually doing something, right? It is actually, doing things. So we see someone in need, instead of, just wishing them well, what we can do to help, that is faith. That is demonstrating faith. That is living our lives out of faith, right? So faith is, it's the demonstration of us exercising our belief through our actions. You understand? Yeah. So what is beautiful about faith is this. It is actually very, very simple. Right? You see people, you see a need, you do it. You just fill in the gap. Whatever is it, like, if somebody is struggling. Last time I remember, like, I used to help like old men cross the road, when I was younger. It kind of like made me feel good. Something like that, you just do stuff for people to help people. And it's very simple. Like, faith is not very complicated, right? It is so simple. And if you don't believe me, let's look at what Jesus said. Jesus said that, Jesus said this about faith. He said, you don't have enough faith, Jesus told them. I tell you the truth. If you had faith even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it would move. Nothing would be impossible. And it is a little bit funny, faith. How many of you all know what a mustard seed is? I'm sure you do. How many of you all know how small a mustard seed is? It is so tiny. I can't even see it if I hold it. That's how tiny is it. And this is Jesus, his words. He is saying that if you have faith as small, as tiny as a mustard seed, you can move this mountain and nothing would be impossible. Nothing. So it is actually very simple, right? Because look at what Jesus is saying, that in order for me to move this mountain, in order for me to, in order for nothing to be impossible, all I need, the size of my faith should be as small as a mustard seed. So it is so easy. It is so easy to attain, thinking of it logically, based on the size and everything. But sometimes it isn't that easy, isn't it? Think about it. How many times do we have situations in our life when and that's the thing about life. Life doesn't throw good things at us. It gives us bad things. It makes our heart, it makes our lives, life makes our lives hard, you understand? It really challenges us, and we go through so much of challenges, so much of trouble, so much of challenging situations, and at times like that, it is so hard to master, to come up with faith as tiny as a mustard seed. How many of you all have been in situations like that? I'm sure everybody would have been in situations like that. Sometimes we have issues, sometimes we have problems with family, sometimes we have problems at work, work. I hate work. I mean, I love the work that I do, but I hate working in the corporate world. I mean, I hate it. I would never want to go back to that life in my life ever again. That's my prayer. You know, really, God, if you want, kill me. I'd rather you kill me than I go back and work in the world. It's bad. You have politics and everything, and the thing is, your value is determined by some other person who has no right over you. That's the messed up part, and I remember the first time I got a corporate job, I got a job as an auditor, and I studied accounting, right? I took a diploma. I have a diploma in accounting. So when I got into this auditing, I got a job as a junior auditor, audit associate, I think. And I was very excited because, like, if I do well my whole career, my whole future is like planned out for me. I can get from associate to senior, senior to senior 2, senior 2 to senior 3, and then you get to manager, and then you get to another manager, and then slowly you make your way to senior manager, and you become a partner. And I was like very excited. But the thing is, so I was placed under the care of one of the managers, and I don't know why that woman, like, she hated me. Like, for no reason. The thing is, I'm new to the job, so I don't know anything. I know accounting, but I don't know what auditing is. And the thing is, she everything that I don't know, she lashes out at me, and she gets angry at me, and she would give me like poor score for every of my audit jobs. So it was miserable. It was so miserable. And thank God I'm out from there. I'm so happy I'm out from there. But yeah, we do face situations in our life, isn't it? Sometimes through sickness. Let's say we have a particular sickness in our body that the moment we hear of it, it would crush us. And in those moments, it is so, so hard to master or to show faith or to even have faith. There's this saying that what is that thing? When it gets tough, the tough gets going. I don't know. The thing, yeah. I forgot. I really forgot. Yeah, when it gets tough, the tough gets. Yeah, when it gets tough, the tough get going. But honestly, sometimes when it gets tough, we get going, backwards and forward, falling off the whole thing, right? So, what is faith as small and tiny as a mustard seed? And the thing is, this topic is really a huge topic. If Stephen was to study this, he would have like a 200-hour series of teaching and everything. But today I just want to share with you something really small, because the thing is, this is a very simple message. I just want to say it up front. It is something very, there are different kinds of message. There are times where, there's a great revelation, or this would really, wow, this, I never thought about this before. But this message to me is very personal, because it helped me in a time where I was absolutely low in my life. Very, very recently, actually very, very recently, I was so low, and it lifted me up to see my journey and my life in a whole new perspective. So I really, really hope that you guys will be blessed. I really hope that you guys will be encouraged. And yeah, so what I want to do today is I want to talk about 3 things, just 3 things about faith. And the scripture that it is based on, it is the story of the local leader Jairus and his daughter. So very 3 simple points I just want to share with you guys today. You good? Yeah, okay. So the first point is, faith is always faced with a hopeless situation. Okay? Doesn't sound very encouraging, right? Yeah. Faith is always faced with a hopeless situation. Then a leader of the local synagogue, whose name was Jairus, arrived. When he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet, pleading fervently with him. "My little daughter is dying," he said. "Please come and lay your hands on her, heal her so she can live." And we all know who Jesus is, right? Jesus is like the poster of faith. Jesus is faith himself. I think there's nothing bigger than him. There's no faith that can surpass the faith that he has displayed, because he is him. He is God in flesh. He is the Son of God. He is Jesus, right? And think about this, and it's very interesting because every time, every situation that Jesus faced on earth, think about it. Every time he was invited, or most of the time, I would say, most of the time that he was invited, he was always called into a hopeless or a lifeless or a faithless situation. There was like never a time where Jesus really was called to I mean, there were a couple of times, I don't know, but he was called to like have fun, go party. Not quite. All the time, in every context that Jesus had with people, it was always with someone who's either demon possessed, is hopeless, someone who is lame, who can't walk, the guy is hopeless. Someone who's dying, hopeless, someone who's already dead. These are all the situations that Jesus attended to. And there was never really a situation that situation could, build him up. You understand? There was nothing. He always had to give something, to either scold the Pharisees, to correct the Pharisees, or to heal people, or to encourage people, or to comfort people. But there was always hopelessness surrounding around him. Always someone in need of something, especially hope and especially belief. And the thing is this, sometimes when we face situations like that, or when we hear of situations like that, we tend to stay away from them, isn't it? Sometimes, we don't want to associate with it. That's how I was raised up, actually. My parents would like, if someone is good, yeah, you hang out with them. But if someone has problems, you don't stay away from them. So what I'm trying to say today is this, sorry. What I'm trying to say is this. Yeah. Faith is only alive in hopeless situations. Faith is only alive in hopeless situations. And there are times that we might want to throw in the towel. There are times that we want to give up. There are times that, we just want to, that whole thing. Times that we want to do that. Those those are the times that it is more like an opportunity for our faith to come alive in our life. You want to see the power of faith in your life. You want to experience the reality of faith in your life. When this moment arises, it is your opportunity and your chance to seize it, because that is when it's going to come alive. That is when you're going to see the power of faith. So these situations are opportunities for our faith to come alive. So always remember this. This is my first point. Hopeless situations are always opportunity for our faith to come alive. Think about it. There would not be any miracles if there weren't any problems. There would not be any healing if there were not any sickness. Why is there a need for us to be comforted if there isn't any pain? These are areas where faith can come and heal us, and faith can come and show us that it is so, so, so real. Remember this. Every time you face hopelessness after today, and you feel like life is bad, remember it is a chance for you to exercise and live your faith out. And that is the deed that you can talk about in future, probably. In my life as a missionary, honestly, it feels like I've been a missionary for a very long time, but it's honestly just been a year. And in this year, like 98% of my time, 98%, I face hopelessness. 98%, there are problems. I'm here in Singapore like for this week with the birth of my child and everything, and my phone has been ringing non-stop, like, Mister, we have this thing, we have this problem, pray for us and this and that. And honestly, I rarely get invited to a hopeful, to a very happy situation. Even sometimes when my friends ask me out there, and sometime into the night, it always comes back to problems, and it always requires me to really talk about faith again and talk about life again. The other time, I wanted to be alone sometimes, because I was a little bit stressed about life. So I wanted to take one evening. I just wanted to go out and just enjoy myself alone, and get drink something, and over there, like, some random guy came and sat in front of me, because, like, I'm foreigner, right? So he asked me, where are you from, and di mana pa, and then the moment I started speaking Indonesian, and that's the mistake I did that day. Probably I shouldn't have spoken Indonesian, but the moment I started speaking, in Bahasa, the guy was so impressed, and he started sitting down with me, and he started talking to me, and somehow or other it led to a conversation about the problem between him and his wife. Yeah. I was like, dude. Well, yeah, it was really a good thing, I managed to talk to him, and I think he was very comforted, and I probably would meet him again once I go back. We exchange numbers and everything. But that's the thing. That is areas where our faith can come alive. And I don't know about you, but I live off and I feed off moments like that. Like, to me, like, I have no achievement in my life, honestly, because I don't see any achievement in my life unless I have brought faith of Christ into another person's life. To me, that is my milestone every day. And I live off that, and sometimes it's a little bit scary, because when that doesn't happen, I feel so depressed. And I feel like I'm not functioning, and I always want to bring faith to somebody. So remember this, if we can focus on our faith more, our faith will grow, and it becomes stronger, and it will become a lot more alive in our life. Okay? The second point I want to share is this. Faith is not received by all people. The second point is this. Faith is not received by all people. So in Mark chapter 5, verse 39 to 40, and this is after, so we know the story, the Jairus would come and call Jesus, and on the way, the woman with the issue of blood would touch him, she would get healed, and then Jesus would stop, and who touched me? And after that, he would continue to the house, right? So when he went inside the house, by the time he reached the house, the daughter actually passed away. The daughter actually died. And when he went inside the house, everybody was crying, because, the daughter is dead. And look at what he asked. He said, why all this commotion and weeping? Like, what do you expect in a house, in a dead house, right? Why are you crying? This child isn't dead. She's only asleep, and the crowd laughed at him. Think about it. When Jesus was there at the home of the leader, think about the people around. Imagine, say, I have a daughter, okay? If someone came to my daughter's funeral and said she's sleeping and she's not dead, it would like bum me up big time, probably. Like, it's so weird to say something like that in a situation like that. But what he saw was not the reality of what the people were saying. Do you understand? And sometimes this is the problem, because faith has a very different perspective to the reality of the situation in life. You go to a dead person's house, and faith shows you life, where the reality actually shows you death. And the moment we go to the sick person, probably, and there are so many people who have cancer and who are in the last stages, are going to pass away. And the moment you have faith, you see life where they are thinking about death. So Jesus' faith was so big that even at the point where that girl was dead, you know, at the point where the girl was dead, he saw life. But the thing is, people there could not understand his perspective. They even went on to laugh at Jesus, you know, and they ridiculed him, you know, they thought that this guy was crazy. And the thing is, people knew that Jesus was Jesus at that point, you know, people knew. The Jairus went to, you know, find him. So everybody knew that this is Rabbi or this is Jesus, and they knew about him, and yet even then, they could not accept what he said. They ridiculed him. And this is the harsh reality of our service when it comes to people, is when we attempt to bring faith to people sometimes, there are always times where we are not received. There are always times that people are not receptive to the message or the hope or the belief that we are trying to bring into their lives. And that is the sad reality. Everybody here knows, you know, I love Stephen so much. You know, I knew him like many years ago. You know, I remember sitting there and I was in awe with the way he was ministering, and I went to the call and got a little bit closer, and then after that I got married and I got a lot more closer, and then, you know, became a missionary, which brought me so close, and, you know, to the extent that, you know, he was beside me when I carried my child for the first time. But one of the reasons why I love him so much is because it started from the moment when I started walking his journey. You know, he's like, how many, 40 years now, 30 years missionary. So the moment I started walking his journey and the things that happens, it allowed me to empathize a lot with the feeling that a missionary would go through. And you know, why I'm saying this is because of this, because, you know, many people when they ask me, what do you do, Joe? I say, oh, I'm a missionary. I say, oh, okay. Oh, that is good, man. That is good. God bless you. You know, you're bringing hope to people, and you are blessed. And I am blessed. I know I am blessed. But how do I say this though? It is the thing is, yeah. You know, from outside it looks good. It looks like good, but the challenges and that emotional pain that you go through every time, it sucks. Sorry I said that, but you know, it sucks big time. You know, it sucks. You know, it sucks like.
That's why it's called a cross.
Yeah. You know, there are like, you don't understand. The thing is, people don't understand is there are so many lows that we go through more than the highs that we get in our lives. The rejection, the judgment, the criticism, you know, and I never really understood this thing, you know, sometimes, you know, and I don't understand how he could do it, but every week to show up, regardless of how shitty you feel, is not easy. There are times when I had to show up to be faith, to show belief, to show comfort or whatever, to minister, when I within me feel like I want to die right now. And yet, I had to pick myself up just because this is what God called me to do, and that is not easy. And once I remember God showed me two things in regards to our service to people. How many of you like candles? Yeah, we love candles, right? I love Yankee, you know, they have good smell. And sometimes, you know, you're gonna go out with your girlfriend, it's very romantic to have candles around, and it's very beautiful, right? The smell and the environment or the ambience that it creates. But the thing is, everybody focuses on the candle, on the smell that it emits, or when you use the candle in the light, in the darkness, you know, the light that it gives. Everybody, are so in awe of the light and the thing that comes out of it. But nobody realized that in order for it to emit it and give light, it burns. It really burns. And sometimes for us, like, to be there and give hope to people, we burn so deep within. And sometimes I feel like a tissue paper to people sometimes. Well, tissue paper is one of the cheapest things in the world. And it is so important, but what do we do with it? It's so valuable. We use it to go to the toilet or to cry, but the moment we use it, we just throw it away. And there were so many times that I would pour out everything that I have, literally everything that I have. There were times where I emptied myself so that I could be like a tissue paper to wipe somebody's tears, and I have been thrown away many, many times. And it is so hard. It is so hard. And the only reason that I think I'm still a missionary is because I love God so much. And what I realize from this is this. And you think about this. Out of the many times Jesus healed somebody, or out of the many times Jesus ministered to somebody, or you take that number over the total proportion of, in actuality, how many people that he actually reached out to, it's actually very small. There were times that, he, at the pool of Bathsheba, right? It was like a porch. It was a porch filled with like sick people. Only one person got healed there. And there were times there were so many sick people, just a couple few got healed there. And what I realized is this, and what I felt that gave me strength was this: throughout this time, my faith is not dependent on the success or the numbers of how many people that actually receive my faith. You understand? My faith is dependent on how alive I am within me. What defines my faith is not dependent on who receives it. What defines my faith is dependent on how I live it. I live my life in it. And the thing is this, I want to keep my life living out of faith like that. I don't care if people receive me. I don't care if they appreciate it. All it matters to me, not out of arrogance, of course, but the thing, what it means to me is I want to keep walking it, because as long as I keep walking it, it is alive. And in the same way, I just want to encourage you today. Our faith is dependent on Jesus Christ himself. He is the source of it. As long as we depend on him and we walk, it is alive and fruitful. It doesn't depend who gets it or who doesn't. It depends solely on ourselves. So this is my second point. My last point today is faith is effective when we are surrounded by like-minded people. Yeah. In Mark chapter 5, verse 40, it reads that, but he made them all leave. Right after everybody were laughing at him, he made them all leave, and he took the girl's father, mother, and his 3 disciples into the room where the girl was lying. And I always wondered this though. Why didn't Jesus do that miracle right there and there? I mean, he's Jesus, he's powerful, and in the midst of those people, he could have raised the dead girl up. And he did not. He could have done the miracle publicly to prove a point, but he didn't. He had the ability and the power to do so, but he didn't. He made everybody leave the room. He made everybody who did not see what he saw leave the room, and he kept the people who believed in him and believed in what they saw. What he saw. And what is even more interesting is this. Jesus has how many disciples? 12. But do you realize, And the thing is, all of them set out actually together. You know, I think his disciples were there when the woman actually touched Jesus and she was healed. And out of the 12, he only brought 3. You realize that, you know, when he heard that the child was dying, he had all 12 with him. But the moment he heard when the child was dead, he only took 3 with him. And this is what I realize, you know, faith is really alive when you have people who sees what you see. And it is very effective when you are around the people who believes what you believes. And the sad truth is this, sometimes in life, we have to kick people out of the room who do not see what we see. Yeah, and I think that's what Jesus himself did. You know, he kept the people who believed in that miracle, and with them, it happened. And I believe so that if we want to have strong faith in our life, we need people around with strong faith in our lives. You know, and I'm blessed with people like that in my life. And I'm blessed with Stephen. I'm blessed with a lot of people like that who have very, very strong faith. That, you know, if I turn away from it, it's so hard for me to turn away from it because of the people that are around me. So in the same way, you know, I want to encourage you, you know, if there are people in your life that are causing you to stumble in your faith, you know, sometimes you need to think whether they are worthy to be in the room. And sometimes it's okay to get them out of the room so that your faith gets stronger as you go forward. Go forward in your life. Yeah, you know, and yeah, we know this saying, right? You are who you are with who you surround yourself with. And this is so true. And Jesus demonstrated it. And so, yeah, so this is what I wanted to share. So, you know, when we get the right-minded people in our life, we can really experience our faith becoming a lot more alive and a lot more stronger. Yeah, so these are the 3 points that I shared. 3 things about faith. Faith is always faced with a hopeless situation. You know, always remember when you have a hopeless situation or you hear of something, it is an opportunity for you to exercise your faith, for your faith to become alive. So take it, you know, take it. The second thing is faith is not received by all people. Not everybody, they are going to receive your message. Not everybody are going to welcome you and thank you. Sometimes they will even close the door on your way in. Sometimes it's like that, and that's the reality. But, you know, don't worry, there will be people who will receive you. And my last point is faith is effective when we are surrounded by like-minded people, which means that who we surround ourselves with is very important. And if people if there are people who weakens your faith, sometimes we have to get them out of the room. Yeah. Thank you.